The Forge World Cyraxus had been a beacon of the Omnissiah's ingenuity, its manufactorums churning out plasma weaponry and advanced war machines for the Imperium for centuries. Located in the Segmentum Obscurus, its orbiting shipyards and ground-based manufactories were critical to supplying crusades against the many enemies of humanity. But Cyraxus had gone silent. No astropathic signals. No Vox communications. Mechanicus fleets dispatched to investigate disappeared without a trace, and their last transmissions were garbled cries of mechanical screeches and screams. The Mechanicus, reluctant to admit failure, petitioned the Adeptus Astartes for assistance. Enter the Imperial Fists, masters of siege warfare and defense. A strike force led by Captain Marius Vectis embarked aboard the battle barge Imperator's Wrath, carrying with them 50 battle-hardened Space Marines, 2 squads of Primaris aggressors, and a contingent of Skitarii Vanguard. Their mission: investigate the silence of Cyraxus, reclaim the Forge World, and eliminate any threats. The journey through the warp was turbulent, plagued by psychic disturbances that left even the veteran psychers uneasy. Upon arrival, the task force was greeted by a grim sight: Cyraxus, its once busy surface reduced to silence, its manufactories shrouded in ash and darkness. There were no signs of life. The Imperator's Wrath launched Thunderhawk gunships towards Cyraxus, deploying squads at critical points across the planet. Captain Vectis led his command team to Forge Complex Theta 17, the planet's largest manufactorum. The landscape was grim. Once pristine Mechanicus facilities lay in ruin, with structures collapsed and debris scattered across the scorched ground. The air was thick with ash and the faint stench of decay. Signs of battle were everywhere: plasma scarring on walls, smashed servitors, and the skeletal remains of Skitarii, their metallic bodies melted and torn. Vectis split his forces. Squad Galen was sent to investigate the outer manufactorums while Vectis and the remaining Marines ventured into the central forge. Inside the manufactorum, the scene was grim. The walls were coated in a resinous, organic material alien to anything the Marines had seen before. Bodies hung suspended from the ceiling, their flesh stripped clean, with some appearing to have died in agonizing terror. Suddenly, Squad Galen's Vox feed went silent. "Sergeant Galen, report," Vectis commanded. No response. Vectis immediately dispatched a unit of Primaris aggressors to investigate. The aggressors found the squad slaughtered. The corpses of the fallen Marines bore deep puncture wounds, and their armor was melted as though by acid. As the aggressors relayed their findings, they were attacked. From the shadows came Xenomorphs, sleek, black-skinned predators that moved with inhuman speed. The creatures lunged at the Marines, their claws tearing through ceramite plating. Heavy bolter fire ripped through the swarm, but the Xenomorph's acidic blood splattered onto the aggressors, burning through armor and flesh. 2 Marines fell before the creatures retreated back into the darkness. Vectis ordered his forces to regroup and prepare for an extended battle. "Brothers," he said, his voice unwavering, "this is no ordinary foe. These creatures are predators, but we are the Emperor's finest. We will purge them with bolter and flame." With their defensive perimeters secured, the Marines pushed deeper into the manufactorum. The organic material grew thicker as they descended into the cooling vents. The air became humid, and faint hissing sounds echoed through the corridors. What they found horrified even the battle-hardened Astartes: a massive hive structure, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. Within the hive, the Marines discovered human and Skitarii corpses used as hosts for xenomorph eggs. Some of the hosts were still alive, their screams echoing in the dimly lit chamber as facehuggers latched onto them. The Tech Marine analyzed the scene, concluding that the creatures were bioengineered killers, capable of using other species to reproduce. "Purge the hive," Vectis ordered. "Leave nothing standing." Flamers and plasma incinerators roared to life, engulfing the chamber in fire. Xenomorph drones emerged from the walls, their chitinous bodies blending seamlessly into the resinous hive. Marines held their ground, But the tide of enemies was unrelenting. Praetorian Xenomorphs, larger and more resilient than the drones, joined the fray. They absorbed bolter fire as they charged, killing several Skiteri and injuring one Marine. The battle reached a crescendo when the Xenomorph Queen emerged. Towering over the Marines, she unleashed a deafening screech, commanding her drones to attack. The Queen's tail impaled 2 Marines, and her acidic blood corroded the flooring. Vectis led a desperate charge, planting melta-bombs around the Queen's chamber. The explosives detonated, collapsing the Hive and killing the Queen. But the victory came at a cost. Vox reports indicated that multiple hives had spread across the planet. The infestation was far worse than they had feared. Orbital reconnaissance confirmed the grim reality. Cyraxus was overrun. Hives had sprouted across key manufactorums, and some xenomorphs had even infiltrated the Titan manufactories, corrupting the massive war engines into biomechanical monstrosities. The Marines regrouped at the orbital docks, where survivors from Mechanicus forces were evacuating. As they prepared for extraction, they were ambushed by xenomorphs that had stowed away on the station. The confined corridors became a slaughterhouse as the Marines fought room by room to repel the invaders. In the midst of the chaos, a massive Titan xenomorph hybrid emerged from the surface, climbing toward the orbital dock. The creature, a grotesque fusion of Mechanicus technology and alien biology, unleashed a torrent of acid and plasma fire, devastating the evacuation zone. Vectis ordered all available forces to concentrate their fire. Primaris aggressors charged the monstrosity, planting melta-bombs on its legs, while Vectis delivered the killing blow with a plasma lance. The hybrid collapsed, its acid blood melting through the platform. Realizing they could not contain the infestation, Vectis made the grim decision: Cyraxus must be destroyed. Aboard the Imperator's Wrath, cyclonic torpedoes were prepared for launch. Meanwhile, the remaining Marines launched one final Thunderhawk assault to evacuate survivors. The extraction site was overrun by xenomorph swarms, forcing the Marines into a desperate last stand. With seconds to spare, the Thunderhawks lifted off as the Imperator's Wrath unleashed its arsenal. The torpedoes struck Cyraxus, igniting the planet's core and engulfing it in a fiery explosion. The infestation was eradicated. The Marines, bloodied but unbroken, returned to the battle barge, knowing they had fulfilled their duty. Yet the cost was great. Cyraxus was lost, and the Imperium's war effort in the Segmentum Obscurus would suffer. As the surviving Space Marines gathered for the debrief, grim silence filled the chamber. Captain Vectis stood resolute, his battered armor a testament to the ferocity of the battle. The Tech Marine addressed the room, his mechanical tone laced with unease. The xenomorph threat cannot be underestimated. Their efficiency in killing and adapting poses a danger beyond anything the Imperium has faced. If even one escapes, an infestation could spread unchecked. Unbeknownst to the Marines, deep within the cavernous cargo bay of the Imperator's Wrath, a single xenomorph drone remained undetected. Its sleek, obsidian form melded perfectly with the shadows, its movements silent as death. Watching. Waiting. A faint, chilling hiss pierced the stillness before disappearing into the void.